Heavy rain here in northern Portugal and a heavy power invasion from Peugeot. The 308 GTI is today in the review on Autogefühl, your #1 resource for in-depth car reviews and your #1 community to discuss cars. With Thomas and the new top Peugeot model, well, it's their only sports car now because the RC set is running out. There's still a pretty new review from the RC set R, linked in the video description as well. But that one won't be available soon anymore. And then this one here will be the only true series production sports car from Peugeot. With 270 horsepower now under this hood, all rear the front wheels. Does that work? And what does the car offer on the outside, on the inside, and on the driving experience? Maybe also on the racetrack? We'll all see it in this review. Let's go. The GTI offers a dark front grille and stronger bumpers as well as bigger air intakes in the lower part. Kinda as always for a sports version, but I think it's quite beautifully done. It's not too much exaggerated, I think, also with the red Peugeot logo here. In this case also Peugeot Sport, the motorsports department, could play a role in developing this very car, and so we also got some elements there which is inspired by this very sporty look. It is kind of similar to the 308 GT. You also find that review in the video description. Watch that one later then. If you think about, okay, I don't want to pay so much money here. This one here is 35,000 euros in Germany. The GT, only 30,000 euros. Doesn't have so much horsepower, but already most of the styling elements. However, they are a little bit stronger here. For example, with the GTI, you got the 19-inch alloys then from the series equipment, and bigger brake discs and red brake calipers with Peugeot Sport logo, so it's even a little bit more dramatic. The side profile of the Peugeot 308, we've talked about it earlier, it's a little bit conservative, but you know, maybe it's not the wrongest choice, but put me that one in the comments what you basically think about the design of the 308. What I find quite neat here with the very version we have here, that we got a huge chrome frame, and you see the windows are also quite big here and also quite steep, so you will have also more space on the interior and also a good view outside. And here it's quite nice that we got the contrasting door handles here. This way it's keyless entry, is also from series production. This car kind of has everything Peugeot is offering for this car from the series equipment, so the very, very top version I'll show you later with the interior. Even the GPS included, what is hardly ever included with any package. But that's really nice that we got the chrome contrast on the top here, and I can also open it again. I hope so. Keyless entry. Hello, there it is. You see. And then let's continue on to the rear. And there we see a round shape of the rear door. It's not available as an estate, by the way. There you have to go for the GT version again with less horsepower. This one here only available as this hatch as it is standing right here now. And the taillights, they kind of catch the design line here, which are in the height of the door handles, caught here by the taillight and then leading towards the rear. There we have probably the biggest surprise of this car. And those are the huge exhausts at the lower part here with a quite of strong diffuser. Yes, we can call it diffuser. And really two nice big round pipes. And they can actually create some sound. You probably already heard some of it in our driving shots. And as we are just here at the rear, let's check the trunk of this hatch. And well, we've seen it better, but you see as you don't have such a spectacular outline at the exterior, the interior rather remains spacious. You see it right here. So suitcases, backpacks, I think it's quite well. I can also flip the seats so you can see what else is actually possible. This would be possible here. Well, maybe I should take the other side because the one seat is blocking there right now, the front seat. So 1/3, 2/3 split. Then we don't have an even loading sill here. But you know, that's because we don't have a cover on here. So that's kind of a small step, but just to put longer things here. And that in the middle here, it looks like a ski hatch to me. There it is. Hello, I'm a ski hatch. So this is Thomas live searching how to open this one, and actually quite strange system here for the hood. This lever here, I've never seen something like that. I'm not sure, was it even with the other Peugeot 308? I don't quite remember. And we have a Peugeot Sport imprint on the engine actually, which basically looks kind of tiny, but that makes the car also shorter. That the front room here is also quite short, 4 meters 25. So really a short, compact car. Also one of the shortest actually in the compact segment. What else about this engine? It's the 1.6 liter engine. It is basically available also with 125 horsepower. I'll also just repeat the numbers later on so you can really remember them. That is actually then the base model of the 308. And then with the GT we have slightly over 200 horsepower. So that was in the Golf GTI range. I think it was 205. And then here, this is more the, let's say, Golf R range or Seat Leon Cupra. Golf R, however, has the all-wheel drive because here now with the horsepower count we are at 270, or to be very exact, 272. But is it really so exact? Many of you maybe know that you don't always get the exact horsepower. I mean, no matter how much you cheat on emission and or whatever else, it's really the case that sometimes the engine has a little bit more, a little bit less horsepower, but it doesn't really play such a huge effect on the customer. So there's an official figure, and that is 270 or 272 in this case. 0 to 100 kilometers or 0 to 60 miles now is 6 seconds. That's 1 second faster than the 308 GT. So this 1 second less you get when you pay 5,000 euros extra. But no all-wheel drive, but a front wheel differential lock. Later, more to that one also when we drive the car. By the way, I also like the door handles. They feel very solid, and I'll soon talk more about the interior. That Peugeot has really shown a very good quality here. Really like that. But let's first get in the rear, because I think it's starting to get heavier rain again. And I got the seat as I would be seated as a tall driver. You see the back of the seat is kind of shaped that I can still fit with my knees in here. However, not too much space for a tall person. When I put up the head restraint here right now, whoa. No, maybe even a little bit higher. Yeah, well, no panoramic roof here, but I'm already touching the seating with my hair. It's like this kind of space above my head, really fixed and not feeling too comfortable here in the rear. So, well, there it really plays an effect that we got here one of the shortest cars in the compact segment. You have way more space than other competitors, but I can tell you in the front it's quite okay, also for tall people. And we also got really great seats in here, more details to that coming quite soon. But you have to mind that in the rear, it's not that very good for tall people. And if you got several people with, you know, long heads, then don't go for the optional panoramic roof, because that's one optional feature we have here. We don't have it here right now, so we have more headspace. And well, but you know, when you're tall and just using the front, then it's actually also possible to pick the panoramic roof. Now, well, I think the rain is increasing really. Let's get a little bit more cozier inside and look at all the details we have here. It's still raining outside, but so we'll focus on the interior, and here we can see the special sports seats. They are only available for the GTI, so you can get actually sports seats for the GT, but not these ones, and they are really superb. Look at them on the inside. They got microfiber. See it right here, feels very soft. Then some special cloth, and the outside is then faux leather, and that's the perfect combination. You get a great look, but you got all the great climate features, and look how the shoulder support is actually on both sides, and that really helps us while sporty driving. I love those seats in general, just from the design and also from the features. I will also tell you more about that later on when we drive. And look at that, you know, it's kind of a fake integrated head restraint. So it looks like it, but you can adjust it, and that's very important, because we had recently a lot of sports seats where you had the integrated head restraint and you couldn't adjust it then, and then it was bad for tall people. Here, very great solution. The steering wheel got this 12 o'clock position, very nice racing style, and above that you see the instruments, and you know, they are a little bit far away that I can criticize. And you see the RPM meter is going to the left side, and well, that's, I don't know whatever you think about it. By the way, here already the first look at the sport button, then everything turns red and you get a better sound. The sport button is situated right here in the middle console, and you hold it again to release this kind of sport style. Steering wheel point of view, flattened end on the lower part, GTI logo, a very nice steering wheel. It is super tiny, and there you really can have a great go-kart feeling. Here, see how the size of my hand and how tiny the steering wheel is, and that adds to this very fun feeling when driving this car. The rest of the cockpit is really cleaned up. You see it right here, because we can everything control via the touchscreen, so we don't have any other buttons left besides those that you have to have as a button just from the governmental regulations. This is for the volume, by the way. I would have preferred when you have something for the temperature. I think that should be separated, but we do have it here then, and you have to do it with the touchscreen, for example, more vent or less vent. That's it, less, more, or the temperature control. And then you also got the GPS inside here, for example, and that worked quite well so far. Everything is quite intuitive. As we've raced a little bit, the consumption went up 8.1 liter, but it was lower before as well. And so also to kind of set up, or here for the phone, really intuitive system. Everything is kind of cleaned up here as well. So even if you don't know the car, you will get along very well. Nice solutions here also in detail. Red contrast stitches, that's special for the GTI. And you know, the surface of the dashboard, first of all, the structure, it's high class. It's better than just plain plastic, and it's also a little bit of soft touch, and that adds to this quality feeling. And the same counts for the inside of the doors. It's a little bit harder here, but not plain hard. And talking about touching, the shifter here really feels great, very soft as well, and of course red contrast here, sporty feeling as well. So my impression here, they really stepped up the game. I think the best Peugeot interior so far. It was already kind of good with the general 308 version and with the 308 GT I've shown you. It's also linked in the video description. That's kind of the GTA Lite version. But here again, they paid more attention to even more details, for example, with the contrast stitches. And also, if you compare it, for example, you know, from the Volkswagen corporations, we always kind of say that they have the very good interior levels, and That wasn't the case with the French manufacturers so far, but they really have stepped up a game here, and I can really say I really like how everything is processed here, and especially here in this top version here now. Is it really a difference to the GT? Yes, a little bit, I think, because you have even more emotional racing details here, and some more surfaces that really felt very great. And you got these seats here, and I can already tell you so far they're really comfortable, because you know, you feel that you're being kept tight but still have enough space to move around at the same time. Also the shoulders fit in here, and even, you know, I'm 1.86 m, and still that fits for me, because I can also put up the head restraint. I got it right here now, but as you see, when I put it down, it really looks again like it would be an integrated head restraint, but that, you know, that would be actually too low, and we have that in a lot of sports cars, as I told you. But here again, I can really fix this, and that's, I think, a great solution. Also from the service, I think here someone really thought about, okay, how can we combine great design, functionality, and also comfort, both at the same time. So the seat's actually the highlight here, as you can only get them also exclusively for the GTI. What else is about this interior? What is special? Well, you kind of got everything in there. You know, I've told you 35,000 euros is the base price in Germany for this car, but you will remain then with the base price. The base price for the GTI, of course. Base price for the 308 in general is way lower, because this 1.6 liter engine starts with 125 horsepower actually in the very low model range. In here you got the climate control in there, you even got the GPS in here, ambient lighting, the contrast stitches, the sport mode button. Well, are there any options that are not included? I mean, that the GPS included, usually that never happens. Even the high cars for 80,000 euros, you have to pick the GPS extra. Here it's included. What can you pick extra? Actually, the panoramic roof, that is not included here. You see, got quite a lot of headspace, that's fine, but panoramic roof, that you would have to pay extra, about 600 euros in Germany. And the emergency alarm, you know, that no one can break into your car that well, that is also, for example, an option, but everything else is kind of covered with here, and I really like this strategy then. By the way, the seats also have a massage function, but that only works. It's the lumbar support going up and down, so not the best massage function, but you have one. And some more details, 12-volt power supply here, and USB slot in the front, for example, for your MP3 player. Storage space at the inside of the door, and also in the glove box here in the front. Standard glove box, also doesn't pop out, you see, moves slowly down, that's quite okay. So just below the electric handbrake, yes, we don't have a manual one now, but the advantage is that we got everything cleaned up here. But I've told you before, I usually like it when you have the manual option still left. For your beverages, there's just one holder here, and I'm not quite sure about the system, because something can fall in here, and that's the reason, because you can also flip the holder. Then you kind of have, well, space, for example, for a bigger bottle or for whatever else. And you can flip it out again, and that's does it look like how when it's closed actually. And then we also have the possibility to open up the armrest. Everything here, by the way, it's artificial leather, but that's again the proof you don't need real animal skin. You can make it look very great, and it also lasts longer. Some space up here, also nothing special, but that's it about the storage spaces. And we slowly move towards the rear, and there we can open this one, and then we got a real power supply in here, and well, you can make your office there, for example, recharge your laptop then. It's very nice that we have it, this one in a compact car. Alright, let's drive this thing. It is kind of rainy outside, and so we cannot really go full speed, but it's actually quite remarkable how much grip we have with these new tires we have on the test vehicle here. And also the car's behaving very well for these rainy conditions. It's almost as you don't really feel it's raining that hard, and I think that's a very good sign for the car. I mean, with a length of 4.25 meters, It's really a relatively short car, so we're here in the compact class segment, and that really helps you on these narrow corners we have here in Portugal near Porto. And yeah, well, the difference now to the GT version is that we just got more horsepower, and well, I realized it when I'm going uphill now, because sometimes I can even stay in the 4th gear and still go uphill, and that's really impressive for such a small car, and especially a 1.6 liter turbo engine, so very well done here. I'm kind of irritated that the RPM meter goes to the other side, I've told you before, and that's, well, something kind of strange while driving. I would just prefer that the other way around, the classic way around. Everything else about the shifting, we always have the manual shift here, 6-speed. There's no automatic gearbox available. That's kind of sad. I would have liked an option about that one. But the shifting actually is quite good. I told you in the interior review that everything from the haptical side, it's really feeling very high class quality. Also the shifting process is, well, kind of feasible. So it actually is also fun to shift this car. And we got good roads to test it here right now. The steering is also, well, basically direct. And I also got the nice marking here for the 12 o'clock position. But I would have preferred it a little bit more progressive, so that a little bit less steering weight would be needed actually. So that would be my personal taste in this case. But in general, I've told you before, I really love it that we got this small go-kart steering wheel here. That is so much fun. Oh, sound is also quite doing well. Of course, not a too exaggerated sound, so still go through the city without arousing too much attention then. And always when you're turning, it's always nice to have the steering wheel again, because you can just do it what you want, use it here as a go-kart. That's always a lot of fun. But this one you basically also have in the standard version of the Peugeot 308 in this new generation here. What is really the difference then with this car? Well, first of all, we have more power then. And now when it's a little bit slickery and I push the throttle really hard, yeah, there can still be some wheel spin, but that's the big difference also to the GT version here in the GTI. You got the differential lock for the front wheels, as we have to remember. We don't have all-wheel drive here, like for example in Golf R. It is still front-wheel drive, and so you can have some wheel spin in the front. So much power just over the front axle. But this differential locks, torsion differential lock, this helps you a little bit, and I've tested it before. So it helps you, especially when you go out corners, really hammer the throttle, and then if there's too much wheel spin on one wheel, this one very wheel is, you know, a little bit reduced in the torque, and that really helps you then. Now as we're going slower here again, and it's also going rather bumpy for this road, you feel that this car basically has a sporty setup, but it's still focusing on comfort. So you have some sporty cars where you know, it gets a little bit rough then inside the city. But here I thought about, okay, come on, we won't really use it on the racetrack as a customer here. And so we basically also want to focus on comfort in everyday driving. And I think that really works here. So I'm quite content that they really kept the comfort focus here with this car. I think that's a good decision, definitely. And well, of course, the suspension is a little bit stiffer than from the C-Rev version. Also sits 1.1 centimeters lower than the C-Rev version. And that's good really for a good contact to the road. But again, as I said, I like it that they still kept the comfort focus, because most of the time you will just, you know, drive this car to work probably, or drive with your family, or whatever, or alone. And so that's also better to remain this focused then. So now we've passed the bumpy area. Let's hammer the throttle now again. What I find really quite amazing is that, you know, it's from the basic setup as a compact car, not really a true sports car really, but combined with the small steering wheel, the stiffer suspension, the more power you have, and also the direct steering. It's really a lot of fun here in the sharp corners. And we got another test vehicle in front of us, so that's also good for our second camera here right now, because we can then follow what the other car is doing. And you see it's a blue one. I would prefer that color in contrast to our red one, but I picked this color, you know, told you before, on purpose here, that we can differentiate it to the 308 GT we've tested before, the kind of GTI light version. So I think the fun test definitely served well. Then about the seats now in driving, I expected it before in the interior review that they were very comfortable, and I can also just prove it. Also on the long run, they are actually really comfortable, very well done sports seats. I really love them. And they also give you good side support, especially also for a co-driver, you know, because a co-driver cannot hold tight to the steering wheel. You as a driver, you can, and so you kind of get fixed in this position, but especially the co-driver needs the side support even better. And you see you got it here at the shoulders, so when we were in those kind of sharp corners, that really helped you very much. So more side support, but more comfortable at the same time. You know, recently we also had a lot of sporty seats that lacked actually comfort. They were very sporty, but then also uncomfortable on the long run. These ones here, they really combine both. As for consumption, by the way, also if we're going faster pace here now, we always get some kind of 7.5 liters on 100 kilometers, and I think we can really live with that. Or what's your opinion on that one? By the way, when you're looking forward, and you always see just in the lower part, you see the 12 o'clock position from the steering wheel. That's also just some emotional racing. It actually doesn't make any sense for road driving, but it's just some nice emotional feature. And I mean, that's what those top versions of the cars are about, that you have something more to look at, something more to feel. And I think they did a quite good job in here. Well, not actually a quite good job. I think in this case we can really say a very good job. Overall, especially from the driving experience here now, maybe the best Peugeot car I have driven so far, and I think you can't rate that actually high enough. So they've really created a top new model here now, also from a driving perspective. So as the road dried out now a little bit, one thing was missing, because we have a sport mode here. You have to hold it like 1.5 seconds, and then all the instruments turn red. You got the power boost and torque instrument in the middle then, and the throttle input actually is a little bit quicker then, so you got, you know, when you press down, gets more boost then, and also the sound is actually increasing a little bit here in the interior. And well, that's a quite nice feature, and so that even gives us a little bit more racing feeling. It doesn't change anything at the suspension, because it's not an adaptive one, but you know, that would be kind of the best one. And for example, we've seen that one in the Polo GTI with this knob where also the suspension gets stiffer then. That would have been maybe quite nice if this feature was also being included, but you know, you also have to save costs, and as this suspension is a good compromise between sporty and the comfort ride, I can really live with that. So maybe if you want to start at the traffic light quite fast, or at some very nice curvy mountain roads, this sport mode even adds some more racy emotional feeling then. Let's test it out now, shifting down. There it is. What do you think? And now it's racetrack time, and maybe you've seen the car behind me. This is the Coupe Franche. It's a special paint, and we also see some other color of cars passing here, because they're also going now here on the racetrack. The one behind me, it's kind of special because it's a two-color paint. They're taking it out of the serial production and then repaint it kind of, so the black comes onto the red, and then the total finish is done, and therefore it's 1,800 euros extra. I wouldn't pick it. I think it's a little bit too much for the car. But actually, as a previous version, it was also quite famous with. By the way, in white here now, 308 is also possible, and also we've seen a blue car. And well, now we're also going on a racetrack ourselves, and well, it is a little bit dried out, but still a little bit wet on the racetrack. So we'll see what this front wheel differential lock can actually do, especially in these kind of conditions. And now we can also push the boundaries a little bit more, because we don't have any other traffic facing towards us. So well, I hope we won't fly off the racetrack, however, but we'll pay attention. All right, let's do this on the racetrack. See what sound. Let's go to the sport mode. Let's check the sound and the performance. Whoa, needs to shift a little bit earlier. So yeah, it's still a little bit wet, so it will be kind of hard to drive, but better way to test the differential lock then. As I said before, actually, we should probably turn that one off here. So as I said before, the car is very good to handle, and also when you're not used to racing driving, because of the small steering wheel and the kind of, you know, let's say neutral handling. And well, what we do feel here, that for the racetrack, the car isn't really that stiff. So for a racetrack car, it should be a little bit stiffer. However, you know, racetrack is not really the main purpose, and so that's kind of fine by me. Yeah, also the steering now on the racetrack is a little bit, you know, it could be a little bit stiffer as well, a little bit more direct. That kind of stuff you only kind of feel on the racetrack then, so it won't really bother you in all everyday driving. What do you think about the sound, guys? So now we're into a sharper corner here. I'm quite satisfied with the brake, and the car, you know, it's quite light, just about 1,200 kilograms, and that really helps us here also on the track, especially in braking. So let's see how the differential lock works. Slowly, steadily getting faster, and I haven't had problems with the wheel spin in the front so far, but that's also a reason because, you know, when you're accelerating out the corners, it's not that good anyway that you are that hard actually on the throttle, because then it might happen that you just understeer further. So you also have to open the steering wheel. So let's accelerate again from third gear now. There it is. Step up the game here in the next lap. Let's see if we can stress the differential a little bit more. Third gear here now. Most of the track you can actually stay in third gear, so you don't actually need to shift that much than on a smaller track like this here. Now I'm starting to get a little bit wheel spin in the front, but it's actually quite fine. And there you really have the differentiation to the GT model, where you don't have this differential lock. But as I said, if you're not on the racetrack, it won't really matter that much to you. Hope you don't like my joining here on the racetrack. And I also feel, you know, is that the seats, they keep you quite tight. Again, this helps you very much. Also, my cameraman next to me is also very good. He's kept inside the seat. Yeah, it's actually quite enjoyable, but definitely for the racetrack there are really better cars. But there's hardly anyone will use that car on the racetrack. It doesn't really matter to the normal buyer. Yeah, we can push it really that far. So let's see if we can get the wheel spinning in the front at the outs of the corner, but yeah, it hardly really doesn't happen. So the car does a very good job there. with the key, because I haven't shown you so far how the key looks. We end our review and open the car again, that you can also see how the headlights really look like, and the daytime running lights, but probably you've seen also in the driving shots. But don't be irritated if there's some flickering in the LED headlights, for example. That's always because of different frame rates of the light and also of the camera. So what can we say as a conclusion to the Peugeot 308 GTI? Actually, I'm quite impressed. I was already quite keen on the 308 GT. This one is even better, even more refined. It's a little bit of sportier ride, but not too much. I think they did the right decision, that they didn't make it rough. You know, they made it sporty, but not rough. You basically have a focus on a comfortable ride for your everyday driving, and that's what counts actually. At the same time, you've got a good contact to the road, especially with this small go-kart steering wheel. That is really so much fun to drive it with that one. Do you really need 270 horsepower on the front axle? No, you don't need it. Can you use them? Not really. So just from the horsepower wise, the GT version would perfectly be enough also. Due to the differential lock, it is also well controllable here, at least we can say so. The best part is really the interior quality. We really have a very highly competitive product here with Peugeot. And for example, the contrast stitches we've seen, how well they were executed, also how the gear shifter felt just from the surface, also the surfaces on the dashboard, and especially here the exclusive seats for the GTI. Maybe those seats are one of the main reasons to buy the car, because they're comfortable, racy in style, and have the perfect surface mix. So I can say so many positive things about the car, but you know, I already mentioned the negative things, like for example, not so much space in the rear. There you have to be aware of, definitely. And I mean, to get this 1 second less acceleration from 0 to 100 in comparison to the GT version, so 6 seconds now from 0 to 100 in general, you also have to pay this higher price. So actually one of the best Peugeots you can get at the moment, if you're willing to pay the price for that, definitely. So I'm looking forward to your opinion on that car, exterior, interior, and also what you think about the driving or special details. And a special warm greetings also to our Portuguese fans, because I know always when we're in Portugal, I get so many comments, hey, you guys are in Portugal, that's so great, and I found that such a great thing. You know? So it seems to be you're very proud of your country. And I mean, we're not the greatest sun atmosphere today, but it's such a beautiful country and has so many beautiful scenery spots. And even if it's rainy today, we still really enjoyed it. And I hope you also enjoyed our review again. See you next time on Autogefühl.